Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to Resident Evil 4 with the fan-made HD texture mod. Um, I decided to go ahead and install, no, not install anything, uh, look up the weapons, and it does seem like, for the most part, the weapons you can buy versus the weapons you just find for free throughout the game are your best bet. There is definitely a possibility in the handgun to, instead of going with critical headshots and twice the power or 2.0 firepower, you could go with, oh, I think it may be the Killer 7 or it may be a Blackjack or some other gun that has much higher damage. Um, but most of the guns otherwise just end up using more bullets. There is, I think, a different gun that would give you more damage on the shotgun, but the exclusive on this shotgun, with it doing full damage at long distances, is way better. The truth of the matter is that everything pretty much dies at about 10, like maybe even less than 10. Like, most of the characters throughout this game, low level Ganado type characters, get one shotgun shot and they're dead, and that's at 8. So does it really benefit you to potentially try to get a weapon that does a lot more damage, or is it better to just have better targeting or better distance for at least most of these guns? I'd say TMP, rifle, shotgun, and handguns. Now, when you get into the Broken Butterfly, there is one other revolver type weapon, but it actually uses its own item, and you can't use it until New Game Plus anyways. The Broken Butterfly doing 25 damage is considerably more damage, certainly, and that's why you only use this gun in boss battles, in the same way you would only use a rocket launcher. And then the mine thrower is kind of unique in that right now I will not find any more mines. It just won't happen. At least that's how I understand it, reading it online. Once you have 9 mines, I guess maybe in the chamber, you won't pick up any more mines. Once you have below the 9 mines, then you will pick up mines. So there is effectively an infinite amount of bullets you can pick up around mines, unless you have 9 in the chamber, then there isn't an infinite. Whereas these other drops are more random and more consistent, where you can just have a ton of shotgun shells or TMP ammo. You're not likely to have that much, but you can pick up a lot of it. Even in Magnum ammo, same scenario. There are a couple weapons that are built into the game in a different way, in that they have unlimited ammo that are unlockables, and one of them definitely comes from getting like rank S in the Mercenaries side game, which brings us to another thing to talk about. I'm not playing at this moment, so we should just be working our way forward. There is a side section in this around. Interesting that you can jump down here. Almost feels like there would be something here, but if there was a treasure, it would be glowing. It's just a breakable window for kind of no reason. It is really nothing to potentially shoot these, just so then you can look outside the window. But perhaps in the remake of the game there would have been something here further that you could shoot, or that you could scope out and see where you're going, or where you're going to try and achieve. But you can pretty well tell there's nothing but fog. So there's this whole side game that almost certainly I would have had to have assumed was originally going to be a separate game, because that's how Resident Evil 3 really was going, is that there were several separate games after the numbered Resident Evil 3 game that were its own little side sections and side experiences. See, this is funny. You get into an area here where we can get an emerald. Obviously they know the game is really dark here, that's why we're starting to see more of these suitcases and briefcases. And then there is a PlayStation 2 version of the game that also adds a whole nother side thing called Separate Ways, which I very possibly haven't played at all. So this puts me in a weird position. It's funny, we've got like two separate directions we're going, but I guess what happens is the other doors are all locked if we look at the map. So we'll beat this game and then we'll still have a lot of game to play even before you even start to think about potentially playing a new game plus, which this game definitely is trying to push me in that direction of going towards a new game plus. So we have falling action here as the game is working its way towards a area quarantined part. So a whole lot of wiring on the walls, a whole lot of cooling. And you have this little laboratory, and you run into a different laboratory. And so I guess the question potentially to ask would be, was this supposed to be Lewis's laboratory? Were we supposed to be able to figure that out? If this was supposed to be Lewis's laboratory, then the question does certainly become, why was he doing these autopsies and researches on these characters, and why did he not warn Leon way better? So you have a humanoid here with something in his throat being spiked by this guy that then also has been spiked. Noticeably there's nothing actually glowing in here telling us why we would need to go into this area. these, slight spoiler to say, these are the guys that you get this special scope for, and the special scope does work on both rifles. Alright. And so now we have a falling action little section here where you do a little puzzle. Well, blue either pretty much has to go down, then yellow pretty much has to go down, and then green has to go down. And so here's Lewis's memo. These creatures known as the El Gigante or the Novistadors are merely byproducts of the diabolical and inhumane experiments conducted on the specimens that were once human. I don't even know what the Novistadors are. I assume that's the Wolverine characters. But there's one type of creature that clearly distinguishes itself from the rest. It's called Regenerators. Regenerators are superior metabolism that allows them to regenerate their lost body parts at incredible speeds. I've never seen anything like it. It is an incredible characteristic that makes them also almost invisible to conventional weapons. And yeah, again, HD textures here in the background probably have been touched up. Now, Dead Space as a game came out many years after this, but this is almost the seed of that idea, in that the regenerators can be shot and their limbs can fall off, and then they'll regenerate. Although I'm not sure their limbs really fall off, really, as much as they're shot in the leg and then they fall down and then they regenerate their legs and stand back up. Whereas the monsters in Dead Space are all around the idea of cutting off the legs. This is still a very traditional game in that headshots count. But like any living creature, this is the one thing you kind of needed to have read. There's a way to kill it. Apparently, there are plagas that live in its body somewhere like leeches. They can't be seen with the naked eye, but they can be located through thermal imaging. To stop it, its regeneration process, these leeches must be located and destroyed. As far as I know, most regenerators host a number of these leech-like Las Plagas. To kill regenerators, each of them must be killed. There is another unlockable thing that would probably kill these in one shot that's super powerful, and our shotgun with its multi area. Didn't ask if I wanted to pick that up or not. The shotgun with its multiple shots probably would kill the Las Plagas inside of the body, which you have to take on that guy without being able to see the Las Plagas in his body. But doing just a massive amount of damage there with the broken butterfly worked. There is no treasure. You can see the freezer now is unlocked, where we have the key to the freezer. There's just no treasure in these areas. So that guy wasn't even dead. So yeah, you have to just take on a couple of them first before you can get the cheater idea. And we'll try my theory here. Their explosion there does not directly equate to damaging you. And they're just really training you to recognize that sound effect. And unlike fighting the other characters, we could shoot that and blow that up and do some fire damage. I could also see if maybe I can get an angle here. More modern game, you would have a reticle. Darn it. So that kind of shows that the mine thrower is not useful against those enemies. Uniquely not useful against those enemies. This is a thing that really would screw you if you had sold your rifle, but we're not even at the point where we would realize that. I now am below a total of 9, so I probably will pick up 2 mine darts at a random drop. Using the TMP is your best backup attack against this fight, because using the TMP will lead to 4-8-5-1 or 2-1. It's your best backup because it will shoot the Las Plagas in the body even if you don't see them. Yep. And see, here's like a Plagas attacking another Las Plagas, which I guess maybe that would have been the beginning of an El Gigante. This guy's arms are tied up. Or that would have been the beginning of perhaps another new creature to be designed. Key card rewriter. Maybe I can rewrite the data on my card and try another key. You don't want to really do that at this point, but we'll just do it. So now it has a different code on it. And turning that off invites a fight, but it also lets you, this guy's gonna start attacking you. It also lets you get the scope, which you pretty much need. This would be another situation also where having the scope and not having room for it because you hadn't upgraded any of your stuff would be a problem. Right. So you... Yep. There's a great example of how they're still very dangerous. But if you are just going to dump shells into it and bullets into it, you are going to struggle. Notably, what I screwed up with there is, had I gone into the freezer first and taken on that fight, then I could have come out of this room, potentially, and then walked around here, and then used the rifle on that guy. But the infrared scope rifle does only really help you so far when they are a fairly far distance away. It is not super useful otherwise. And yeah, I guess you can target things this way if the guy was going to run this way, but that isn't really the way to play it. Okay. I think the issue that's going to run into here, I don't even know if you get into this room. Yeah, there's a bunch of guys over there. Yeah, as soon as you start to think maybe you would stick with the scope, the game is going to force you to not stick with the scope. Okay. I guess the idea here would be to probably grab people when they aren't being visible. And you would think that there might be an achievement or something around this, but they're all crouched down, so I don't think I can grab any of these guys. And I can't grab the trash. Yep. We can set them up for a surprise, and then we can headshot the rest of these. There is a slight concern, that I think a pretty valid concern, really, as far as whether picking up these mine darts, which we are potentially back to 9 now, so we may very well not pick up any more. If those are instant like random drops that are in addition to what your other random drops are, or if they are in exchange for other random drops. Like, am I getting potentially less gold because of the random drops of mines? And the island, I guess, is just kind of a generic term, so we're going to end up jumping down that garbage chute at some point. But first, we need to save Ashley, which we are just kind of twisting around this whole place. Really does just twist and turn. Some shimmering effects here. Security switch for a door on the left, which we don't need. Let's go ahead and upgrade our health that way. That's, I think, the same upgrade anyways. I'm going to leave the mine launcher at where it is to see if we can get any more mines. We really should get the mines fairly quickly if we are going to get any more mines. Something triggers a fight there, but I don't remember what. It's probably because we're going to come back and do this. And so now we have her screaming for help again. And then I think we've got a couple of these. So how are you really supposed to take those guys on? No drop from that guy. No drop from the other guy. Just really strong characters. And we need a key card, which I think means we have to leave her and get the key card and then come back. So, if anything, this just, I think, highlights the general lack of interest in treating Ashley nicely. It is almost a running gag, except for the problem is it's just a little bit too mean-spirited. While also not running into the opportunities we have been as far as running into merchants and upgrading things, which is maybe not super surprising. This is one of those really tiny rooms where You definitely wouldn't want the Las Plagas characters to be smacking their heads up. And yet that is exactly what they're doing. And the rate of this happening obviously is higher in the island. X-rays showing Las Plagas in the bodies. Or yeah, I guess in the remake of this game you would probably, instead of this being just like unreadable, and where did our flashlight go, by the way? This really would have been a sequence where the flashlight probably should have been on. Yeah, the remake, this stuff would probably have lore on it, or at least Easter eggs on it. It would be replayable, well, readable, not replayable. There would be something more to the outside parts of this. And obviously, if you weren't familiar with this game, like I am, you would be doing a lot worse here, but not that much worse. This game is actually very good about balancing things out. In the points where I have died multiple times, the game has gotten easier. Plus, the game kind of does encourage you, to some small extent, to go the route of playing it easy the first time, just because they want you to play it on a higher difficulty a second time. I would be somewhat dissatisfied if I found out that there was actually quite a lot of... I don't know what the next boss is I even really need to be concerned about. I'd be somewhat disappointed if there was quite a lot of content that I didn't know about in this game. The Separate Ways DLC is one of the things that I may not remember, or it may be something that is totally something that I've done multiple times and I just don't remember its name. It is also worth mentioning that the GameCube version of this game is, on top of missing the Separate Ways contents, this is a spike version of that guy. Yeah. You gotta get really careful here. Yeah. Go ahead and use that and get our health up some more. One of these Las Plagas is on his backside, and because of that I need to shoot him in the leg, or just do enough damage to him. But yeah, there will be versions of those enemies where you will have to take them out and shoot them from the backside. oddly, like, seems like you can go further this way. It just seems weird. Like, the game really should tell you, not until I saved Ashley. This is another lab. Going with petri dishes. We want to just get everything here we can possibly get. And break everything we can possibly break. Just for the fun of it. If nothing more. It doesn't trigger anything. We definitely are going to have to start pulling the trigger on finding more space. Yeah, and unless I'm completely wrong here, the mines are not showing up. Yep. There was a couple of opportunities here to find mines, but I don't think those were random item drops. I think those are like very much bespoke, maybe that's the wrong word, intentionally placed items so that you had to always get a certain number of rifle ammo, which you would need. Well, you know what? I'm just going to go down this way. This is either a direction that is just like entire content that's extra, or you see any more crows? Yeah, I think this is actually a section that is just kind of completely extra. And it explains a little bit of backstory, but it also very possibly could have just been cut out of the GameCube version. I think it's also notable to say, on top of the stats on the guns being fairly different in the GameCube version, the Wii version of this game is just way, way easier. Nothing is going to get against the idea of just how incredibly helpful it is to have a Wiimote in your hand and to be able to adjust. And I assume that the Wiimote wasn't really even that accurate, and so there was probably a level of extra auto-aiming helping you in the Wii version.
Good thing, what are you selling?
Right.
Is that all?
2 flash grenades.
Thank you.
I also found out, looking at the weapons, that flash grenades will kill exposed Las Plagas. So they actually are like way more useful than it might seem. And at some point, we may start to, if we get our health up to the max and we got Ashley's up to the max and we were making more of these in a New Game Plus type scenario, selling that for 10,000 is basically all you can do.
Ah.
10,000
Thank you.
being considered a high price
Is that old strange?
I guess,
Thank
consistent
you.
throughout the entire game.
What are you buying?
Yeah, this black tail might be better than your standard handgun, whereas this one isn't as useful, and this one isn't as useful. The Killer 7 may be more powerful than the Broken Butterfly, but the riot gun isn't as useful, the striker isn't as useful. You might get to a point, if you're playing 3 or 4 times through and you're running low on bullets, that you might get the striker just to get a very large amount of extra bullets, but that's probably not going to happen. I think it can be argued that the semi-auto rifle would be more useful, particularly now as we're fighting the regenerators. Being able to fire faster does have that appeal. But yeah, there is no other TMP item. You get a rocket launcher that's a special rocket launcher at the end of the game, and you can take that with you to New Game Plus apparently and sell it. And so I may decide to go down that route, but I still don't think I'm playing this game in the New Game Plus. At least probably not anytime soon. Getting the regular scope on the rifle is not worth the space it takes. Getting a scope on the semi-auto rifle wouldn't even help me. Getting a scope on a mine thrower doesn't help. So
What are you buying?
all of your pesetas at this point are built around
Is that old strange? Thank
just upgrading things. We need another 40,000 to get this rifle to increase its damage, which increasing its damage potentially from 12 to maybe 25 would be very helpful at this point. Or increase the damage on this, which would also be very helpful. Getting the exclusive on this to significantly increase the blast radius, I think, is a secondary priority, and I don't want to get that until I get everything else done. And we'll go and plug that with that one. And we'll be happy with way too many grenades. Mostly our inventory problems is that we just have too much bullets. I think that was our last capacity upgrade on Broken Butterfly too, so I think we're kind of done with that. This is just kind of a weird end point that maybe integrates with Separate Ways or Ada Wong's story. If Separate Ways is the story of Lewis, and that wasn't in the GameCube version, that would explain so much. But also, it does really highlight that... Let's go ahead and unequip this. That there probably were 2 or 3 games in development at the same time, and they got all merged together instead of elements of Ada Wong's story being a side story. Code Veronica is what I'm talking about. Resident Evil 3 Code Veronica was the kind of side story. It is just water and then trees. That really highlights how old this game is. That they could get away with that, but in all fairness, you really wouldn't have been able to have a draw distance that far originally in the game. It's a good example of how even a PC port without doing any remastering is going to lead... You can't jump in. is going to lead to potential things being different and changed. Having fog lifted and longer draw distance where you can see things when you really shouldn't have been able to see things changes the experience slightly. Having different controllers changes the experience. This almost feels like this should be an oil refinery level instead of a odd laboratory research facility with military aspects and prisoners, it seems. So the thing here is you get to this radio and you try to call for help, and it shows that you can't call for help.
This is Leon. Request backup. I repeat, request backup. Damn.
The radio signal is being jammed. I can't contact my people. Of course, why hasn't he been trying that, like, all the time on his little hand radio? Here you have just a picture of the stars. And, yeah, more textures that maybe you could read. If you could read this stuff, though, it would be in Spanish. Which, yeah, you would need some kind of subtitles on it. So yeah, that's the entirety of this content here, is just that you can get the merchant, you can kill a bunch of crows, and you call for help and get this unimportant cutscene. I wouldn't be surprised if there actually just was not even a door there in the GameCube version. They probably were pushing the limits of what they could squeeze onto a GameCube CD. Although, the Separate Ways DLC that's not on the GameCube version may also be because there is just not a there wasn't as much time, and that content was just not finished. You would have expected something would have attacked you there, or something would have happened, and it didn't. Which, that's weird. I have so far had no reason to shoot any of these explosive things. And we've gotten a good 3-4 hours away from Ashley as far as not having to escort her in an escort quest. We now have the key to this, and then we're going to jump down the trash spots. We can hear the guys are coming. Suppose I might as well use the handgun. Alright. On second thought. What in the world happened to that? Why did that not hit him? Yep, that's another great example. The window remembered that it was broken. That I'd broken them before. if you can avoid taking the little extra damage, and you can take out a group with the mine thrower, it does seem like it has a little bit of value. I've never played with it before, obviously, and I still would lean towards, if I was running short for some reason on gold, not buying the mine thrower, so then I don't have to buy the extra large attaché case as fast. But I don't see a reason why that would really ever be the case. This one doesn't have a number on it. It's also been quite a while since we've gotten any piece for that lynx. There's just no treasure here. These maps are like really disconnected, which, yeah, they are definitely hiding some lack of polish in the island section, but they are also giving you
okay? Come on, let's get out of here.
They're giving you a decent amount of new enemies instead. What's funny is she has this like bangle on her wrist that I don't know if she had that originally in the game, or if the gold bangle on her wrist is part of the ritual they did to her. I guess they just don't say what the ritual was. Okay. The kid, she kind of turned around that cutscene because she was over here against the wall, and then we get a note from Ada Wong. So Ada Wong is telling you jump down the waste disposal vent just in case you were questioning which way to go. Alright. No time for goofing around. Alright. We are back to protecting Ashley. So, no screwing around. You'd think that these sparks might shock you. So we just had a chapter end, so it doesn't really make the most sense that another chapter potentially would be wrapped up fairly quickly here. Yep, and the kick does not help against those guys. I guess I could have taken a bit of more breath. Perhaps at some point I would actually let those guys decide to actually hit me with the taser. Although I don't see a real reason to do that. But we are noticeably burning through shotgun shells. At this point, we've lost basically a whole 15 of them. You would probably be very upset, I would say, if you had been upgrading Ashley's health in favor and acting like the right way as a protector to keep her alive. But
looks like this is it.
I don't think that many people would have made that mistake. And honestly, it probably would have only added 4 or 5 different it really would have only added about 4 or 5 different
Are you out of your mind?
upgrades to Ashley at most.
If you landed on your butt.
You would have had to have saved pretty much all of the upgrades from the beginning of the game.
What is this?
Come on, let's go.
Alright. This is the ultimate danger here. Is that you can't kill this yet. You're not going to have a lot of distance.
What is that thing?
Hide.
And yeah, just dropped about 100 TMP bullets into the guy, and it didn't kill him. $20,000 for killing that guy instead of running. But now, in one just poor choice of which weapon to use, I have wasted all of my TMP bullets, which arguably means TMP bullets are just useless. And we need Ashley to help us push this. That kind of highlights too that like best case scenario we would have locked the guy.
Follow me. Hide.
Like best case scenario we would have just locked the guy out instead. So, yeah. Like I said before, he has one on his back there, generally in the exact same place. I should double check, but it does seem like the first aid sprays may be more valuable than the greens. Or less valuable, actually, would be my guess. So... I should consider selling the greens and getting a few thousand. It is not particularly the most significant amount. But yeah, a few thousand would be useful. Alright. I'm just not gonna goof around here. It might be a case that you don't get any more mines until you may just not get any more mines until you're completely empty on the mine launcher. Or it may just be that it is fairly erratic. Let's see. Still don't really remember a lot of this whole sequence. This is kind of a big boss fight where it would be nice to be able to heavily rely on this. But I don't think that's going to work. So I probably am best off just relying on this. Because you have to break this door, which there are a couple of times where we've had to break doors before, but Ashley, you control that. Meantime, I will opt for more damage. Where are you, Ashley?
Oh, no.
Let's see. I think I can do it, but I think the trick here is probably to I think the trick is probably to be very cautious on this. Alright. And leave Ashley behind.
Wait. Follow me.
if I leave her in the middle of this map, where this door is,
Wait.
there, maybe I can just leave her there. And then shotgun or TMP. I think shotgun is your best bet. And just don't even bother trying to take on these guys. And just try and instead get a collection of enemies. Alright. Problem with this plan, I think, is that Ashley may have been straight up grabbed, and I don't know if she's being grabbed. And again, this is weird because she can be kidnapped when it's particular to the story. She can't be kidnapped when it's not necessary to the story. Hey, there was a barrel there, so wonder if there's some other barrels. I guess the good news to take from that, though, was that I am right at a certain level that I should leave her here and just try to take on these guys first. I just need to be a little bit faster with it. Honestly, a grenade isn't a terrible thought. Let's try this again. Let's throw a grenade that way. Two grenades, not really a problem. And just wait until he's gonna fall. Alright, kill that quickly. You know, I'm just gonna eat a brown egg.
Follow me.
Ashley, have Ashley follow me. Now, go ahead and tell Ashley to control that. I think, if I was to guess, this probably just goes forever. He was grabbing her. Let's see. Tell Ashley to do that again. Meanwhile, yeah, I think we just run at this point. We might get more gold, but this may very well just be an infinite area, infinite spawning area. So, yep. Alright, we are standing right next to each other. Let's go ahead and use, I guess this. Interesting, that doesn't refill Ashley's. So that must be Resident Evil 5 where you can use both. Alright. And we're in yet another area where Ashley is yet again potentially in danger, and the escort mission is just back on. This might be a point where dog food would be helpful as far as restoring health, or this also might be a point where picking up items becomes hindered by mines. If we did pick up some mines right now instead of shotgun shells, I wouldn't be particularly happy about that. This guy seems to only have 3. Interesting how it gushes all out like that. I guess maybe it's the spiked ones that have 4 or 5 instead of just 3 Los Plagas in them. So kind of obviously there is an inconsistency there in my favor.
Follow me.
She's gonna make the loud door opening sign. So far though, all I'm getting is gold and yeah, all I'm really getting here is gold and bullets that you would want, so I can't really say that this is a bad situation, or that I'm getting mines in favor of something else.
Follow me.
Alright. So now we're gonna put Ashley in danger, which is exactly
Leave it
what
to me,
Leon
Leon.
is not supposed to do.
Wait.
Alright. I guess the question is this a merchant and a safe spot? Yes, it is. Alright. It's still not quite worth it to...
Follow me.
It's still not quite worth it to have Ashley's health upgraded in favor, or as long as Leon's is not at the maximum. It does, I think there are probably a couple of enemies that could do one-hit kills on me. And yeah, we are low on bullets. And high on incendiary grenades. And I don't think we are going to keep a lot of like more encounters with the regenerators. There's just like a whole different sequence here where really I need a TMP more than anything. It's either going to be TMP or shotgun. We haven't seen any mine bullets, which it really makes me question how many mines I could have gotten up until this point had I bought the mine thrower when it was available.
Good. What are you selling?
We'll sell... I think we can sell one incendiary grenade.
Thank you.
It's 2,000 gold for 3 of those. 2,000 for that. 10,000 for that. You obviously have way more green herbs that you pick up. And it's 2,500 for that. So... if I need 5,000, I guess you sell these. Or you just sell these anyways, just because...
Is that all?
probably would make some sense. Yeah, I'm willing to pull the trigger on selling that.
What are you buying?
Rifle, doing a bunch more damage right now. Or TMP doing a bunch more damage. I kind of feel like the TMP will benefit you more.
Thank you.
A bunch more damage is certainly relative, though. Because our handgun doing 2.0 damage with a 5 times critical shot, TMP now doing 1.8, but its firing speed is 0.0 or 0.1, which is about a third as fast, or 3 times as fast as the handgun.
Come back
so
anytime.
You waste a lot of bullets, certainly, but you get a lot of TMP bullets anyways. In a New Game Plus scenario, we are now approaching 18 hours into this game, having your TMP at that high level of upgrade is very nice. This map, though, I have to say, I really hate how this is basically just section broken up by section, broken up by section. And so you go through like an on-rail sequence here this time with Ashley. You get to this point, and then I think you're fairly close to Ashley being kidnapped again, and for the final time, or fighting another character that we've barely even seen. In fact, the other character might be the character you play as in separate ways, which would be weird. I think his name is Kruger. That would be weird. It was definitely risky to have a game that was so dangerously unbalanced as far as ammo. There definitely is a case where you might hit a point in this game and just give up, even though the game tries to help you as best as it does to give you extra bullets. Like, I could have been in this one and died 5 or 6 times and gotten frustrated and left, particularly if that was just infinitely spawning, which I think it was. Which, that is weird, because every other room in the game practically does not infinitely spawn enemies. So they compromised what the game has trained us for 17 hours to understand and trust in, just for a cinematic experience. And yeah, there's a lot of cinematic experiences that break the game compared to the castle or the village. Even the village is almost 100% gameplay with very little cinematics. Most people, I'd say the vast majority of people, did make it to the end of this game, so it was a risk that paid off, certainly. But yeah, I could see people getting frustrated. I could see people giving up. I could definitely see in the remake there being a better way to account for that, even if it is just tips to use the knife. Although at this point, the knife is not very useful. Like, you really cannot run up to a group of enemies and try to knife them dead. You can at best shoot and knock one enemy down to the ground and slice them up with the knife, but you only run into groups of enemies in the island. You don't run into individual characters or individual people. Or if you are running up to an individual person, it's going to be a regenerator, which the knife almost certainly would not work on the regenerator. Getting anywhere close to the regenerator is suicide. Yeah. Do I have anything else to say? No. We still are heavily leaning on the Fan HD mod. Looks great. When I was tweaking the dead zone with the Resident Evil 4 tweaks that were installed, the game started moving very awkwardly and wonky in the shooting gallery, but I haven't seen any of that outside of the shooting gallery once I set the dead zone back to lower amount. Undoubtedly the dead zone was set to 1.0 either by just default programming, let's just set it to 1, or because the dead zone on something like a GameCube controller probably needed to be much, much higher than what an Xbox Core controller these days it needs. Even now, though, every now and then, I maybe don't improve anything, but I will on occasion go and recalibrate the Xbox Core controller on Windows 10, so that's a thing you can still do to reduce a dead zone even more and reduce controller drift. Ideally, the next generation of controllers will have magnet sensors in them instead of springs on them, so there won't be any grinding or drift to it. Although I'm not sure if that's a guarantee, even if you did put more expensive analog sticks in the controllers. It might be better if they're just better to repair and easier to repair. But I guess I'm getting off topic, so that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because that helps me with YouTube. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.